From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy. And our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Here we go. Board to reconvene. Good morning, Kern County and outside observers. Welcome to the 9 a.m. regular board meeting reserved for budget today, Tuesday, August 26th. We're going to begin, as we always do, with the roll call. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Peters?
Here.
Supervisor Parlier?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Here.
Supervisor Couch?
Here.
Supervisor Perez?
Here. Thank you. Our salute today is going to be led by a regular, you might say, for the last several years, actually. And I want to share just a few personal notes before I talk a little bit about his absolutely extraordinary service to this nation and to this county. But I still remember first time I met Mr. Shin. I was afraid of him. He looked like a tough guy, and he looked like he didn't like me, and I thought, well, maybe I don't like him either. And boy, did I have a lot to learn, and boy, have I learned so much from him, not just from his wisdom, from his years of service and of the life that he has led and of life in general. But what I have observed from him as a leader in this community, as a consummate gentleman, and as a person who is teaching me every time I meet with him. The political world has become quite nasty. And here we are in Kern County with the incredible partnership of Supervisor Couch and myself, learning ourselves from these incredible patriots who have come to this government and have asked more of us. And in so doing have asked more of themselves, frankly. And that's what I have seen, Charles, is a person who asks excellence of themselves in the way you present yourself, in the way you treat others, and in the way you represent the flag. I want to say thank you for that. You often introduce yourself as a retired Marine and a concerned citizen. I want to add to that a personal friend and American hero. United States Marine Corps Sergeant Major Charles Shin began his service to our country in 1974 and retired with honor and distinction in 2004. Note the photos above you. His ventures would have him travel across the country and across the world. Mr. Shin served in various capacities: field mechanic, maintenance chief, honor guard for burial details. What an honor. Eventually training to become a fire support Marine, which required him to call in artillery and, when needed, naval gunfire from ships. Mr. Shin also had the distinction of earning the title of Airborne Jump Master from the U.S. Army. You may not tell it from his modest, very modest demeanor, but to attain the rank of Sergeant Major requires a level of grit, professionalism, perseverance, and sacrifice that very few of us have or comprehend. To all of our friend, Mr. Shin, thank you for leading today's flag salute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If everybody rise to their feet, hand salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Shin.
Hoorah! Thank you to the supervisors. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I love the pictures. You were a little bit younger then, Shin. Okay, we're going to move to our pet of the week. Our director, Nick Cullen, is going to make his way out here. Hello. Who do you have with you, this precious baby? Oh, this is like a raggedy little thing. Who do you have here, Nick?
Well, good morning, Madam Chair. This adorable puppy is
You're right.
Terrence. Terrence is he's a pup. He's only about a year old.
Oh,
he came to
Terrence.
us just about a week ago. He's looking for a home. He's available for adoption right now at the Kern County Animal Shelter.
I'm sorry what I said, Terrence. You're adorable, and I know you're going to get a forever home. As Nick has the magic touch, and in Kern County, we love our furry friends. We take care of our babies. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
We wish you the best, Terrence. Best of luck to you. Thank you, Nick, for all you do. Okay, very good. Okay, so today is our hearing that we've set aside to discuss our budget, receive input, and of course, this is the annual meeting by which we only address on the official agenda our our budget. But we do have a very, very special item this morning that I'm glad I don't have to present. And it's an extraordinary moment for Kern County, for me personally, and for all of us. And it is a matter we're going to take out of order. I apologize for that. We rarely do that, but we have a complicated agenda today, and it's just for a number of reasons that I assure you it is the wise order of events this morning. So if you would please turn your attention to item number 97 on page 8. It is a retirement resolution. I can't believe it, Kathy Kraus. I just can't believe it. For our clerk of the board, our true boss, and the person in charge of all things Kern County, the beloved Kathy Kraus. This motion will be presented very honorably and with great grace by Supervisor David Couch.
Thank you. Motion on the resolution. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Say it ain't so, Kathy Kraus. Say it ain't so.
So I'm going to read the proclamation and make a couple of comments and then turn it over to Kathy, and then I know you guys probably want to say something too. Of course.
Just saying.
It reads, whereas Kathy Kraus was appointed clerk of the board of the the Kern County Board of Supervisors in June of 2007, after serving as the City of Wasco Deputy City Clerk and Executive Secretary to the City Manager, to the Wasco City Manager. Was that Larry?
Yes.
Who was sitting over here?
Yes.
As clerk of the board, Ms. Kraus has provided exceptional oversight and preparation of the Board of Supervisors meeting agendas, attended board meetings to record official actions, maintained the historic record of the board dating all the way back to 1866. That's not her. That's how far back the records go.
Good
Okay.
catch, David.
The Appeals Board, the Measure K Citizens Oversight Committee, City Selection Committee, and the special districts under the appointment authority of the Board of Supervisors, and maintained conflict of interest codes under the Political Reform Act for 190 public agencies. Ms. Kraus's desire to increase public access to government and provide exceptional customer service has been evident throughout her public service career by her helpful and courteous nature, positive can-do attitude, and diplomacy in handling all situations. One of her department's greatest accomplishments occurred in 2015 when she implemented, with the implementation of the electronic agenda packet for the Board of Supervisors meetings, which streamlined procedures, saving many trees and staff resources countywide, resulting in a cost reduction of over $100,000 annually to the county and various departments. Another long-term goal was realized in 2023 with the completion and implementation of an automated program for tracking nearly 500 appointments made by the Board of Supervisors to 63 boards, commissions, and committees under its authority. In collaboration with the expertise of the county's information technology services staff, this tracking system was designed and customized to meet the needs and desires of Kern County, and most importantly, does not incur any annual maintenance cost to burden the general fund. As a leader, Ms. Kraus has mentored, guided, and encouraged colleagues and staff to be the best and to honor the responsibility of being a public servant. Her presence will be greatly missed. Now, therefore, it is resolved the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, does hereby honor and commend the Clerk of the Board, Kathleen Kraus, upon her retirement with 18 years of dedicated, distinguished service to Kern County, and expresses its sincere gratitude and warmest wishes to Kathy upon her retirement. It's dated today. It's signed by all the members of the board, Kathy. And on a personal note, I had 4 or 5 different drafts of what I was going to say today. And I kind of threw those out because it occurred to me, I'm going to make a sports analogy. All of you have, I don't know if this applies to NASCAR or not, but I know it applies to lots of other sports. All of us have played on a team where it might not have been the best player, the marquee player, or the one that you recognize the most, but there was always a player that made the whole team better, made every player on that team a better player. I think that is what Kathy Kraus has done for the county team for 18 years. I suspect she did it for every place she ever worked, every volunteer effort she was ever involved in, or anything that she was ever really involved in whatsoever. She has dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and for us for many years. And I know she's made me better. I suspect she's made all of you better as well. It's wholly inadequate, the words that we have on a piece of paper or saying thank you. We can never express, Kathy, what you have meant to us. We will miss you. You have big shoes to fill. No pressure. And we wish you all the best, and I think I speak for everyone when I say we love you. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you. Thank you, David. I'm going to call you David.
That's okay.
And thank you, Madam Chair and board members. This is bittersweet, without a doubt. More sweet than bitter, let's put it that way, because the last 18 years have been incredible for me. I'm here today with my son, Justin, and you all have heard probably way too much about him because I can't help but share how happy I am to have raised a son like Justin. He's an incredible human being, and when I started in 2007 with the county, he had graduated high school and was enlisted in the Marine Corps, and now today he is a firefighter paramedic with LA County Fire, lives in District 2 up in the Tehachapi area. Wow. My greatest accomplishment in life, and love you so much, Justin. So glad you could be here. First, I have to ask my staff to stand, please. This is your Clerk of the Board staff. Our small but mighty department works with every county department, as you know, and it is incredible the amount of responsibility that we have, that we take seriously, and many things could not be accomplished without those people standing right there. So I'm leaving you in great hands. When I became the clerk of the board, I walked into a well-oiled machine. And I'm hoping to leave it as good as I found it, maybe a little better with technology enhancements. That would be great. But on that note, there are two people in the audience that I want to introduce to you, and if it weren't for them, I would not be standing here. And over to my left, in the front row, is your former clerk of the board, Denise Pennell, and her husband, Larry Pennell. And Larry and I worked together. Larry hired me in 2004. I was working with the Wasco Elementary School District, and he hired me. And 3 years later, he announced his retirement. And shortly thereafter, Denise announced her retirement. And Larry came to me and said, "You need to apply for Denise's job." And I said, "Oh, no. I said, I don't have enough experience. There's no way I could qualify." And of course, Larry brings out the recruitment brochure and he says, "Well, let's take a look at it." And we took a look at it, and he said, "I think you qualify." And I said, "Not too sure." And he said, I said, "Larry, I can't do that job." And he said, "You can do that job. I know you can do that job." So it was his encouragement that got me to apply for the job. And I'm sure Denise had a hand in something. But when I was interviewed by the board, they asked for a 5-year commitment, and I thought, 5 years, I can do that. And 18 years later, here I am still doing that. But it's just because when you join the county family, especially in this position, working with every county department, with every department head, with anyone that has anything to do with the board's agenda, contracts people, and just a multitude of county employees, you do become a family. They are a part of, they make coming to work fun and enjoyable, and that's what it's been for the last 18 years. And I remember telling you years ago, I'm going to retire in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. Well, no, now I'm going to wait another year. And so at some point I had to say, okay, stop. It's time. It's time to move on. Time to spend more time with Justin and my grandsons and traveling. So I am most proud of those process improvements that we talked about in the resolution. I know that there was probably an audible sigh of relief in 2015 when we got to send out the email to all county departments saying, "You no longer need to supply the clerk of the board with 10 hard copies of every single agenda item." There were departments that had to have hand carts to bring their agendas to the clerk of the board, or their agenda items to the clerk of the board, because some of our agendas were this tall. And your predecessors had binders, and they would bring agenda binders, and they might have 2 or 3 binders to bring for an agenda meeting or for a board meeting. So, that process improvement was absolutely phenomenal. And then the boards, commissions, and committees tracking program has really, that I'm most proud of, because ITS, we work side by side with ITS, that collaboration. There was no additional cost. We didn't go out and buy a program. We built a program. It was customized to exactly what we wanted. And we don't pay a maintenance fee, an annual maintenance fee. So we're saving the county $30,000 to $40,000 a year by in-house building what we want, suiting our needs. And
You're working, Kathy.
And the same thing happened with the assessor's office. Greg Van Mullen, I'll call him out. He's IT tech for the assessor's office. And they built us CAPS, which is the Kern Assessor Property System, which automated the processing of property tax assessment appeals. No cost to the county, no additional ongoing cost for maintenance. And that type of collaboration is what I hope we continue to pursue, because it's good for the county, it's good for the citizens, it's saving us resources, and we're actually using processes that absolutely fit our needs. We're not buying something out of the box that we have to adjust to what the vendor is supplying. So I'll stop on that soapbox, but just want to let all of you know what a great run it's been, and never imagined. Last thing I ever imagined was that I was going to be in this position, and just oh so happy that it happened. Changed my life. So thank you all.
Kathy, I understand we have others that are going to speak as well.
I'm so sorry. Yes. So first off, I would like Denise Pinnell, former clerk of the board, has something to say, and then following Denise Pinnell, your favorite, Charles Shin, also has something.
Very good.
Stay close.
Okay.
We have a legend with us here.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. It's nice to be back in these chambers temporarily. Such an honor to be here. The clerk of the board's office was established by ordinance in 1982. There have been 5 clerks of the board in the past 43 years. Kathy, you are the longest serving clerk of the board in Kern County history, a commendable achievement. Wow. For 18 years, you have made notable contributions to better serve the citizens and this board for Kern County. You have displayed strength, courage, resilience, integrity, and an ability to overcome difficult life changes, both professionally and personally, with grace, poise, and determination. Clearly, you have earned the trust and respect of this board, county departments, and the people you have served for 18 years. Under your leadership, the clerk of the board's office has made a significant difference in county government, and your presence will be felt in the halls of government for many years to come. Larry and I wish you the very best in this next incredible chapter of your life, perhaps your best chapter. It is an honor to know you and to call you my friend. Thank you for your faithful service to Kern County.
Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning, supervisors. Kathleen Kraus, we want to, on behalf of Kern Concerned Citizens, we want to give you a little token of our appreciation, always having the answer and being a solution to the problem. Thank you so much.
Well, what is it?
It's a secret.
Well, what's the secret? I want to see it.
Okay.
Kathy, let's take a look.
Let's take a look. Oh.
What gentleman. I love it.
Oh. The legend has retired.
Oh, the legend has retired. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it. What a fun bag.
That is so nice.
That is so kind.
Oh, there's something more. There's more. Wait, there's more.
How fun.
This says, happy retirement. Never underestimate the difference you have made and the lives you have touched.
How beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How nice.
Well, thank you, Supervisor Couch, for that excellent presentation. Thank you, Kathy, for your remarks. I'm going to ask my colleagues now if they would like to chime in, and then I'll close out. But I see Supervisor Peters is next in line.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since I've been supervisor and even working for my predecessor, Mick Gleason, there has been a standing rule in our office, and that is the underlying commandment of everything that we do, and that is don't break Kathy. So no matter what crazy ideas we come up with or deadlines we try and push or problems we encounter, no matter what, we don't want to break Kathy because she is the bedrock, she's the backstop of everything that we're doing. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate working with you, how much your friendship, your professionalism, everything about you has just guided me in my path so far, and we really do appreciate you. And we've been selfish long enough in keeping you here, and we're really excited for your next chapter and getting to spend some time with the family and the grandkids, and really just wish you all the best, and we love you, Kathy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Well
you.
said, Supervisor Peters. Supervisor Flores.
I agree. Thank you, Supervisor Peters. Totally agree. And thank you, Denise and Larry, for being the genesis for this. We have been well served. You have picked talent. She epitomizes that word. I've known you since 2010, and I have learned from you personally on how things work in the county. So thank you for your work ethic. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your calm demeanor. You have spent many, many hours, days, weeks, months in this chair as a rock to our community. You epitomize the nobility of public service. You live that virtue. You have served the taxpayers well. No matter how big or how small, you treat everything with the attention that it deserves. And it's not easy serving our board or serving the public with the issues of the day, the complexity of the agenda, the myriad of departments, all the things that are coming in. You're like the air traffic controller of the county. You're the nerve center. Your team is fantastic. They're so polite. You treat everyone with respect. But it all comes from the leadership that you have demonstrated to our county. And we talk about slogans and building a better Kern and build here, serve here. You have done that. You've led by example. You will be missed. I wish you the best in your retirement. Go enjoy NASCAR, enjoy your family. Justin, thank you for sharing your mother. Your mother is a class act. We do love her, and thank you for picking your replacement. We will be well served by Julie. Thank you, Julie, for serving here in Kern County. You are joining a distinguished alumni. So thank you, and God bless you, Kathy, and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, and I have to echo that because Julie and I have worked. This is our 4th week working together. So and I have to thank the CAO's office for that because it usually is not the county way to double slot positions, to allow training that really does need to occur. So I was pretty adamant about the need to spend some time with the person that we chose who needed to be trained, and you are in good hands. Julie is just jumping in with both feet and absorbing everything, and she's driving the machine here and making you all look good. That's what we do. Thank you.
So gracious. Supervisor Parlier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've known you the shortest amount of time, and in that time frame, you have been so warm and welcoming to me. I think you're a cross between Mom, having to get your homework in on time, and Command Sergeant Major.
That's good. Yeah, I would agree.
Just wonderful to me, Kathy. You have a wonderful team. Julie, best of luck to you. I know you're going to do great because you have a great team behind you.
Yeah.
And I hope you have a wonderful retirement. Best of health, Kathy, and I look forward to tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisors. Kathy, I remember when I met you, you joined the Kern County family in 2007.
Yes.
I joined in 2008 as a planning commissioner, and I was one of those 500 appointments that Supervisor Couch referenced. That is absolutely stunning amount of young and up-and-coming leaders of this community who you had to slap around, boss around, frankly, that's the truth, in order to straighten us out and understand how serious the work that we do here is for the public, for the taxpayer, for Kern County. You were always absolutely committed to professionalism, to fairness. You treat every single person who comes before this board the exact same way. And I have watched that to be true over 18 years. It's a stunning accomplishment, Kathy, and there aren't a lot of people who can do that. There aren't a lot of people who do that, who have the heart and the spirit and really the devotion to, the American way that you do. It's just the truth. It didn't take me long here to realize that you were the queen of Kern County. I mean that and the manner in which you command your own staff and the manner in which all the supervisors had to, brown nose to you on a pretty regular basis was astonishing to me because I became pretty good at it myself out of necessity. But, beyond the professionalism, Kathy, on a personal note, what an incredible friend and gracious human being you have been. And, I have watched you through some remarkable personal turmoil. And the class that you have expressed and conveyed consistently, and I love what Ms. Pinnell said, faithfully, you showed up, you delivered, and you really give me hope and you give me direction in my own life. You are a stunning human being. You are a stunning professional, and Kern County is just so lucky that we had you for any period, but for so long, my goodness, we have been so graced by your beauty, both inside and out. So, Justin, you're a lucky guy. I know you know that. And I know that your continued public service is in the legacy of what you have seen and learned from your own mother. And we just wish you the absolute best. You have lots of time to spend with your grandbabies. You have lots of commanding to do of those young boys and make sure they turn out just like Justin and just like, just the incredible legacy that is who you are and what you have contributed to Kern County. You really are a class act. You are a fine human being. You are a remarkable American. You never drug your politics in here, and you're a very opinionated person. That I know. You never, ever once drug that into here. You treated everybody with complete decency and beauty, and that is truly remarkable. Thank you. God bless you. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Oh, we all gonna come down? Oh, yeah.
Put the weeds on the outside.
I didn't mean you, Pat. So our budget process procedure this morning is slightly different because we will begin by hearing items 1, 2, and 3 before considering the consent agendas. Kathy, should I read this paragraph before? Do you want me to do 1 and 2 first? 1 and 2. Got it. Okay. We're going to move at this time to our normal public presentations, and this portion of the meeting is reserved for matters that are within the jurisdiction of the Kern County Board of Supervisors, but are not on today's specific agenda. We do ask that when you come forward to please state and spell your name for the record, and we do ask you to please consider the time we ask you to keep your comments within, which is 2 minutes. I understand that's not a perfect timeline, but we certainly appreciate your adherence to that and the consideration of others who'd like to speak and a full agenda that we have this morning. So now is the time. We will get to the budget in a few moments, but for now, this is our normal time for public presentation. I see our good friend is teed up. If you could please state your name and spell it for the record. Good morning to you, sir.
Dennis McLean, McLean.
Morning, Dennis.
Morning, Madam Chair, supervisors, and staff. Thank you for listening to my concerns. I will begin by thanking Mr. Shin for his military service, his devotion to improving our election process, and his friendship. Next, I want to express our appreciation for 2 long-term county employees entering retirement. Planning Department Director, Lorelei Oviatt, and our own County Board Clerk, Kathleen Kraus. Thank you for your devotion to our county. I missed last week's meeting because I was in Sacramento fighting against some bad bills against parents protecting our children. Now I want to express my support for our current administration. Addressing illegal immigration, rule of law, public safety, waste, fraud, and abuse, exposing wokeism and DEI in our government and the educational system. In closing, I want to thank your board for addressing problems with our local election department and splitting this elected office. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning and welcome. Sued. Morning, Ron.
Good morning. Morning, Madam Chair and Board. This is a message from
Your name, sir, please.
Ron Barger, B-A-R-G-E-R.
Thank you, sir.
This is a message from our President, Donald Trump. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots, and also while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than the accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster, leaves no doubt, and at the end of the evening as to who has won and who has lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All others gave it up because of massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin the effort, which will be strongly opposed, by signing an executive order to help honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of the country. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballot voting, and everybody in particular the Democrats know this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't even have a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Ron. Morning, Mr. Shin.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning to the supervisors. God bless America. I am Charles Shin, S-H-I-N-N, a retired Marine and a concerned citizen. I'm going to just remind that about 2 months ago, I briefed this memorandum 25035 from the Secretary of State, which talked about voting systems assessment and voting systems standards. It had some work requirements involved for counties who had issues. So we have defects, faults, failures, and other reporting issues. Voting technology incidents require jurisdictions to submit the following reports regarding any of the following. 1, notification of any voting system defect, failure, or fault within 30 days. That is Elections Code 19210. We had mapping issues and we had poll book issues. Also, notification of any poll book breach, attempted breach, defect, failure, or fault. That is California Regulations Code, Section 20161. And we had, on the 19th of March, everybody that showed up to vote from 7 a.m. to about 12:35 in the afternoon, their precincts were cross-referenced all across the county of Kern. I had to vote in Boron. I waited until they corrected the problem. Second to last is notification on any ballot card printing flaw or defect within 24 hours. There's another report we would like to look at. That's Elections Code 13004, and Taft residents received their vote-by-mail ballots with Tehachapi precincts. That's a 70-mile drive. Last but not least, the 1% tally report, which Dominion does, and that's just like they set the standard, and then they tell the employees how to meet that standard, and then that's supposed to be a certification. That's kind of like a casino owner having his employees test the machines in the casino, the slot machines, and then put a certification out on the building, letting everybody know that the machines work just fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Morning, Jess.
Good morning, Chair. Glad to see you all here. Jesse Sanders, S-A-N-D-E-R-S. I'm addressing something that came up last week, or last meeting. State laws signed into by Governor Newsom have severely limited California law enforcement from protecting our citizens. In the last border meeting, one of the advocates for limiting local law enforcement from interacting with ICE also advocated for open borders. This particular advocate for this type of lawlessness bragged about his family predecessors being buried on Tejon for over 8,000 years. That's good. I believe he's a resident there also. Over the past years, Tejon Ranch has had many border disputes with various tribes, trespassers, and California, the state. Tejon relies on California law enforcement, Kern County Sheriff's Office, and private security to protect their borders of Tejon and law on Tejon. I find it very hypocritical that he wants open borders on our sovereign borders of the United States, but uses our resources to protect the borders of Tejon. So maybe he should take all the illegals that ICE can't touch, get them out there on Tejon, pay for their schooling, their legal fees, or medical. That might help a little bit here. But we know none of that will happen. I believe our borders of this nation, which allows him to have his security, are the reason he has his security, our sovereign borders. I would really like Kern County to become a sanctuary city for law enforcement, law and order, and support our sheriff's departments and our police departments along with ICE so that every citizen is protected. There's nothing wrong with expecting people to obey the law. Nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Good morning. Good morning, Janine. Welcome.
Good morning. No hat today.
I noticed that.
Janine, Jeanine. Last name is Adams, Adams, Tehachapi, District 2. Just as a matter of public interest, I would like to fully encourage the public to sign up to be a poll worker this November. There's going to be a special election. It's working its way through the State House. It will most certainly be voted, ratified, whatever Newsom does. And then it will be on the ballot in November. And that has to do with redistricting midterm, just like they've done in Texas. Very concerning that across this country, they are putting in these early redistricting matters before the next election, which is in 2030. So, to combat what is going on and has already become law in Texas, they are going to gerrymander to put, Republicans, these guys' party, in charge. So if you think that that is right, that's a problem to me. And this is why Mr. Newsom and the California legislature will get this on the ballot for the people to decide, not them, not Newsom, not anybody up there. The public will decide. And guess what? I've already got 3 mailers saying, don't do that. That will be bad. Letting the people decide, that'll be bad? Are you serious? These mailers came from huge money. Freedom Foundation is supporting them.
Ms.
It's
Adams.
wrong.
Thank you. Are there any other public presentations at this time? Okay, it looks like we have one more. I recognize Miss Lisa. Good morning and welcome.
Miss Lisa, MS.LISA, middle initial K, last name Pollard, P-O-L-L-A-R-D.
Thank you.
I think this is my 4th official one, besides the little comments that interest me of topics that you had at your board meeting. The first time I came, I read the preamble because I didn't have it memorized. And it was really to honor my mom that passed away or lived on this earth till 98. And today is her 4-year anniversary since I missed my mom. So anyway, at age 12, she remembered the preamble, and I wanted to honor her that day. And then I came back and sang America the Beautiful, my own rendition, because I didn't know all the song. Then I came back with the preamble again with the explanation on what it means. And so today it just landed at the board meeting. I thought, well, I'll just come and maybe say a little poem that my mom wrote, if that's permissible.
Of course.
Well, she's trusting God, we trust, since she was really born, because we have to become a little child to enter into the kingdom of God. But she gave her life around age 12 or 13, so in God we trust. She's been trusting that long to 98 years old. So she wrote this poem. We're not really dying, we're just beginning to live. The life everlasting Jesus died to give. I've seen all this world that I want to see. Nothing but heaven satisfies me. Thank you.
How beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Any other public presentations? Okay. We're going to close the public presentations, and I'm going to ask my colleagues, gentlemen, do you have any board member announcements or reports? Supervisor Peters?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to ask if Georgiana Armstrong would come down and join me at the podium. Good morning, fellow board members. I wanted to share another announcement today, and that is the certificate recognizing Georgiana Armstrong in recognition of her retirement with 22 years of dedicated service to Kern County, serving as Emergency Services Manager with the Kern County Fire Department, and for her exemplary public service and civic contributions to the community and to Kern County. Georgiana, I have worked with through many different disasters, from the Erskine fire to the Ridgecrest earthquakes to the Burrell fire. I mean, even most recently, the public safety power shutoffs that are happening in Kern River Valley. She has been the definition of a unsung hero, a humble public servant. She didn't even want to be here today to get this recognition. We had to drag her down here. But she is literally the person working behind the scenes constantly. Whenever there's an emergency, whenever there's crisis, chaos, she is the steady hand at the tiller. And most people won't know the amount of impact she has had, especially in her just fierce advocacy for our communities during these disasters. She has never been a person to say, that's not my job. She finds out whose job it is, and then she goes and kicks their rear end until they do it. And she's just been absolutely phenomenal to work with. You know, during these crises that we deal with, things go smoothly. so many departments, so many agencies coordinate, and that doesn't just happen. It's Georgiana behind the scenes, pulling the strings, coordinating everybody, from a case of water showing up to the tent cities going into the volunteer services that are stood up, our emergency ops center being ran. She's the one behind the scenes going out advocating, and this is going to be a big loss to Kern County, but I know that there will be another person that I'm sure you've trained well to step in and take up the reins. But just on behalf of everybody in Kern County, we want to say thank you, Georgiana.
Well said, Supervisor Peters.
It's been a privilege, and I appreciate the career that I've had here in Kern County. It's been an honor to work with the first responder organizations, with the Kern operational area, and through them for the constituency of Kern. And yes, there is a strong team ready to, they will fully meet the expectations that you have of the Office of Emergency Services. Thank you, and Ms. Kraus, we're on for pickleball. That's
I love that. I love that.
Thank you, Georgiana. I appreciate it.
Best of luck to you, Georgiana. I'll tell you, this county knows and how serious of a person that you are, and how, frankly, you're not somebody to mess with. And it was almost the first thing I've heard about you every time your name came up over the years that I have seen you work. And that's really striking because the setting that you work in is, incredibly male-dominated, and you thrived, you shined, you have the utmost respect of our sheriff and our first responders. I've heard it 1,000 times. You really brought such a serious, professional demeanor and style to you that it caused others to be just a little bit afraid of you. I mean that with full respect because you have to have that in the position that you're in, and you would never guess it looking at you. I don't mean to be offensive, but you're a lion. You are, you are not to be messed with, and I just think that's so cool that you leave this county with that reputation and with that legacy. I think it's extraordinary, and woman to woman, I want to say I tip my hat to you, and I wish you the absolute best. God bless you.
Thank you, but I sincerely doubt that Donnie Youngblood is afraid of me.
Like, oh wait, here he comes! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Get on down here, Donnie. Oh.
I'm not afraid of her now. She's leaving. I've worked with Georgiana for the last 18, 19 years, and you hit the nail on the head. We're not afraid of her, we respect her. She knows so much more about emergency management than any of us know. And I can't say enough about the person that has to fill her shoes. It's going to be very difficult. Georgiana, you are awesome, and you're going to be missed, and I don't know that you can be replaced, so thank you very much. You're welcome.
I'll tell you, Georgiana, I've done a lot of rezos, a lot of certificates. I've been here 13 years on this board. I've never seen Donnie Youngblood come down and do that. So I'm gonna say I think he's still a little bit afraid of you. So I like what I'm seeing. Best of luck to you, sister.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Peters. Well done. Okay, seeing no other board member announcements or reports, we're going to move to item number 3, which is our opening remarks for fiscal year 2025-2026 recommended budget. We're going to open our budget hearings, and I believe Nancy is first up. And so, Nancy, thank you. The floor is yours.
Madam Chair, good morning, and members of the board. We are honored today to present the County of Kern's fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. This budget, totaling $4.5 billion, is a testament to our unwavering commitment to fiscal responsibility and strategic investments amidst a landscape of economic uncertainty and evolving community needs. The preparation of this document that receives a national recognition from the Government Finance Officers Association is a group effort by my staff and the departments in the county. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation and thanks to the department heads and your fiscal staff. I would also like to acknowledge and thank my CAO team, led by Budget Director Alex Alva, and includes Eric Nisbet, Joe Areola, Kayla Ayala, Amanda Reese, Saba Hale-Michael, and of course, Assistant CAO Elsa Martinez. The theme for this year's budget is Prudence in Progress, Building a Resilient Future. It reflects our steadfast dedication to maintaining essential services while positioning the county for long-term sustainability. We have meticulously crafted this budget to ensure balance and responsibility, even as we navigate uncertainties around state and federal funding and changes to health and social services programs. The key components of the budget include maintaining mandated essential services, ensuring public safety, investing in critical infrastructure, supporting our workforce, and directing resources to areas of greatest need. This budget embodies our commitment to fulfilling our mission by meeting the critical needs of our residents. It is structurally balanced with no reliance on fund balance carry forward, and focuses on our core service delivery in public safety, health, and social services. As we look forward, this budget strikes a careful balance between prudence and progress, honoring our responsibility to the residents of Kern County and building a stronger, more resilient future together. We do have something new this year to provide some highlights of the budget. Thanks to Chief Communications Officer Erin Briscoe Clark and her team, we have a budget video that we'd now like to share.
The County of Kern's fiscal year 2025-26 recommended budget totals $4.5 billion. This budget reflects prudence and progress, building a resilient future, while maintaining a fiscally responsible, balanced strategy that protects essential public services while navigating an increasingly complex financial landscape. Despite uncertainty around state and federal funding, this budget focuses on stability, prudent planning, thoughtful prioritization, and a long-term vision, while maintaining mandated essential services, ensuring public safety, investing in critical infrastructure, supporting our workforce, and directing resources to areas of greatest need as our financial outlook continues to evolve. Our investments over this past year reflect a clear commitment to Kern County's growth and quality services. As we look ahead, this budget builds on that momentum with a thoughtful and fiscally prudent focused strategy to continue to meet the needs of our residents. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. The recommended budget for the Sheriff's Office reflects a continued investment in public safety services. Measure K plays a vital role supporting efforts in unincorporated areas with approximately $24.7 million allocated to recruiting and retaining staff, plus restoring funding to fill vacant positions and establishing a new medical and behavioral health section within the Detentions Bureau. The Kern County Fire Department's budget is balanced, fully funding all safety positions and keeping every fire station open. Key highlights include adding 64 new fire personnel and enhanced funding provided through CAL FIRE to support statewide fire protection and emergency response operations. As a result, the department is expected to receive $7.7 million, enabling a phased expansion of its workforce. The budget allocates resources for 9 new positions to support operations at the fire station serving the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tejon, breaking ground on the new Hart Flat Fire Station, relocating Station 11 closer to residences to provide more efficient service, and continuing through Measure K allocations, deploying safety squads and medical units within unincorporated areas of the county. We are continuing our focus on building a Kern County where every resident has the support and shelter they need. This budget includes $7.7 million of ongoing investments in services for emergency shelter and homeless programs, including the M Street Navigation Center, which provides 147 emergency shelter beds and a safe parking program, M Street Safe Camping, which offers 50 spaces for safe camping, Hope on Heart Navigation Center, Kern County's first tiny home village with 50 units offering a safe space for unsheltered individuals and their pets. Plus, the county supports additional resource programs to provide a network of services, to help residents get off the street and build a better life. The county remains committed to safe and clean communities. Code compliance will continue to play a key role in improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods by addressing blight, illegal dumping, and unsafe properties. This budget also includes an additional $1.5 million in ongoing general fund contribution to support the expansion of the graffiti abatement program in unincorporated areas. The budget invests $144 million in 171 critical infrastructure projects designed to extend the life of county facilities, strengthen public safety, and improve quality of life for our residents. In addition, $2.5 million in Measure K funding is dedicated to park improvements at Wofford Heights, Jim Williford, Leroy Jackson, and Valley Acres Parks, as well as renovations at the Rosemond baseball field. Meanwhile, projects totaling over $33 million are moving forward at over 20 county parks and recreational facilities, including La Colonia Park, Hart Park, Buena Vista Aquatic Recreation Area, Riverside Park, and Heritage Park. Our library system is stronger than ever, restoring and expanding services across Kern County. Thanks to $2.8 million in Measure K funding and community partnerships, nearly every branch is open 5 days a week. The Bookmobile is back on the road, bringing books and resources to parks and schools in 6 communities without neighborhood libraries. And branches have reopened and will continue to undergo upgrades with the Building Forward Library Infrastructure Grant funding. Kern County's commitment to community extends to both residents and animals. Included in this budget is $1.6 million for the design of a new animal services facility. This facility will expand capacity, modernize care, and provide adequate space for medical treatment, adoptions, and community engagement. And with an ongoing $1 million investment from our general fund and Measure K, we will continue to strengthen and expand spay and neuter programs, helping reduce animal overpopulation. This budget underscores the county's commitment in meeting the challenges of maintaining competitive salaries and benefits, essential for recruiting and retaining quality employees to provide critical public services to our diverse community. Recently approved cost of living and equity increases total $50.2 million, contributing to an overall salary and benefits cost of $68.9 million. While the future fiscal landscape may be uncertain, the County of Kern remains committed to responsible governance, smart investments, and community partnerships, all with a focus on improving the lives of every resident. With prudence and progress, we are building a resilient future.
I think that's a first ever. That was really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it was something that we were looking forward to, Madam Chair, and appreciate Erin and her team for putting that together for us, and plan to do that from going forward. So thank you. Now we'd like to turn the presentation over to Budget Director Alex Alba.
Morning, Alex.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The county's fiscal year 2025-26 recommended budget totals $4.5 billion, reflecting the $75 million increase, or 1.71% over the fiscal year 24-25 adopted budget. This budget supports a dedicated workforce of 8,669 authorized positions, enabling your county departments to continue delivering high-quality services to our residents. This year's budget reflects progress in advancing the county's strategic initiatives and addressing priorities identified by your board and the community. As highlighted in the video, these successes are shaping a more responsive and resilient government, one that meets the evolving needs of our residents. Through continued support from Measure K funds, the county is making targeted investments in public safety, critical infrastructure, and enhanced services for residents in the unincorporated areas. These efforts underscore your commitment to residents of the unincorporated communities. As stated by Ms. Anderson and echoed in the video, despite ongoing challenges, including fluctuations in state and federal funding and changes to health and social service programs, the recommended budget remains grounded in maintaining mandated essential services, ensuring public safety, investing in critical infrastructure, supporting our workforce, and directing resources to areas of greatest need. This approach reflects our long-term vision, prudent financial planning, and thoughtful prioritization, ensuring that we remain agile and prepared as the fiscal landscape continues to evolve. The fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget is funded from several funding sources, including state and federal aid, tax revenues, fees, operating transfers in, fund balances, and reserves and designations. This slide provides a summary of these revenue streams. Government aid includes state, federal, and other intergovernmental funding, and totals $1 billion, representing 23.5% of the total budget. This reflects a $9.6 million decrease compared to the prior year's estimated adjusted budget. Operating transfers in the amount of $877 million, or 19.6% of total funding. The transfers are contingent upon allocations from external agencies. Revenues are initially deposited into restricted funds and subsequently transferred to the general fund, where they are recognized as other financing sources. Tax revenue totals $763.4 million, accounting for 17% of the overall budget. This includes $589 million in property-related revenue, primarily derived from property taxes. $174.4 million in other taxes encompasses sales and use tax, transient occupancy tax, franchise fees, and hazardous waste facility tax. The total budget requirements include appropriations adopted by your board, along with operating transfers out and contributions to reserves. Operating expenses include all costs associated with service contracts necessary to maintain and deliver services across the community, as well as expenditures related to major maintenance projects. For fiscal year 25-26, operating expenses are projected at $1.9 billion, representing 43.6% of the total budget. Staffing expenses are estimated at $1.3 billion, accounting for 30.2% of the total budget. This marks an increase of $50.4 million from the prior year's adjusted budget, largely driven by recently approved employee compensation adjustments. The fiscal year 25-26 budget also recommends a net increase of 31 positions, with the majority of new staffing attributed to the proposed expansion within the fire department to enhance service delivery and emergency response capacity. This slide outlines the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget allocation by functional category, reflecting the county's strategic priorities and commitment to public protection and public assistance. The public protection function is allocated $1.2 billion, representing 28.3% of the total $4.5 billion budget. This funding supports essential safety services, including fire protection, district attorney, sheriff, coroner, probation department, agriculture and measurement standards, child support services, and animal services. This investment underscores the county's ongoing commitment to safeguarding the community and maintaining public safety. Public assistance has appropriations of $1.03 billion and provides social service programs to county residents. One of the largest special revenue funds in the county is the Human Services Administration, which provides child protective services, as well as administers major public assistance programs, including CalWorks, CalFresh, and Medi-Cal. Aging and Adult Services provides services such as abuse prevention, nutrition, homemaker, conservator, disease prevention, and health promotion, insurance counseling, insurance information, and as well as in-home supportive services program administration. The health and sanitation function is allocated $955 million, supporting a broad spectrum of health and medical services across multiple county departments. This includes Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Department, with a budget of $453 million. It provides behavioral health care and substance use disorder treatment to county residents. This funding reflects the county's commitment to promoting public health, ensuring access to essential medical services, and supporting the well-being of vulnerable populations. This chart presents the authorized staffing levels for fiscal year 2025-26. The bar graph illustrates historical budgeted staffing trends covering the current fiscal year and the 5 prior fiscal years. For fiscal year 25-26, a net increase of 31 positions recommended, again, primarily driven by the staffing expansions within the fire department. The pie chart displays the distribution of the budgeted positions by functional area for fiscal year 25-26. Public protection accounts for 44% of the total authorized staffing. Public Protection will see an increase of 61 positions, largely attributed to the fire department's proposed additions. Health and sanitation represents 15% of the total staffing. This area will experience a reduction of 35 positions within the Public Health Services Department, primarily due to decreased federal funding. The general fund serves as the main county fund, encompassing all revenues and expenditures not legally required to be tracked in separate funds. For fiscal year 25-26, the general fund budget totals $1.08 billion. While the board retains discretionary authority over certain programs within the general fund, a substantial portion is dedicated to mandated services, particularly within the public protection category. This includes criminal justice functions administered by the district attorney, public defender, and the indigent defense program, operation of jails, juvenile detention facilities, juvenile supervision through the probation department, and additional core public safety services. The public protection function is allocated $629.4 million, supporting a wide range of public safety services for county residents, and makes up 58.2% of the $1.1 billion. Notably, the Sheriff Coroner's Office is budgeted at $345.1 million, providing law enforcement services to the county's unincorporated areas. Further detail of the Sheriff Coroner's Office budget will be presented later in this presentation by Joseph Ariola, your Senior Fiscal and Policy Analyst over Public Protection. General government is allocated $289.2 million, representing 26.7% of the general fund. This category includes departments responsible for county administration, general services, fiscal and operational support for both county departments and residents. Included within this allocation is $107 million designated for capital improvements and major maintenance projects, reflecting the county's commitment to sustaining infrastructure and operational efficiencies. This slide provides an overview of the county's discretionary revenue for fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget, which totals $585.2 million. Of this amount, $63.8 million is attributed to Measure K sales tax revenue, a critical funding source that continues to support essential services and community investments. As illustrated in the graph, the county's major discretionary revenue sources have experienced modest and steady growth over the past several years, with an exception in fiscal year 23-24 with the implementation of Measure K, which resulted in a significant increase in available discretionary funds. This one-time boost provided enhanced flexibility for addressing urgent needs and expanding services. However, aside from Measure K impact, discretionary revenue has remained relatively flat year over year, reflecting broader economic conditions and limitations in revenue-generating capacity. For fiscal year 25-26, the county is projecting a decline in discretionary revenue compared to the prior year's actual. This reduction is primarily due to the large one-time revenues received in the previous 2 fiscal years. This anticipated decrease underscores the importance of strategic financial planning, prioritization of core services, and continued investments in sustainable revenue sources to ensure long-term fiscal stability. As highlighted on the previous slide, sales and use tax represents a significant source of the county's discretionary revenue. In preparing the annual budget, projected sales tax revenues are developed using data and forecasts provided by our sales tax consultant. For fiscal year 25-26, sales tax revenue is budgeted at $1.7 million, lower than the 24-25 adopted budget. This adjustment reflects current economic conditions, including inflation, elevated interest rates, rising consumer debt, and shifts in the consumer spending behavior. Actual collections for fiscal year 24-25 totaled $205.8 million, exceeding projections by approximately $40.5 million. The additional collections were largely attributed to one-time tax receipts from infrastructure improvements around utility projects, audit reallocations that corrected prior year distributions, and increased economic activity in key sectors. These temporary gains provided short-term increases but are not expected to reoccur at the same level in the upcoming fiscal year. Looking ahead for fiscal year 25-26, ongoing sales tax revenue in the unincorporated area is projected to total $142.1 million, as shown on this slide. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Joseph Ariola, your Senior Fiscal and Policy Analyst for Public Protection, to present the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget for your Sheriff Coroner's Office.
Sure.
Supervisor Couch.
Since you're breaking right there to go to a different section, can I ask a question about that slide about the sales and use tax?
Yes, sir.
Can you, maybe you can't do this, but I'm interested if you could quantify for us, the big drop you said was made up of 3 components?
Correct. Supervisor Couch, through the chair, the major component of that was a one-time reallocation of funds or corrections in the prior fiscal years.
Sales tax that went to another entity or another agency that should have gone to us?
That is correct.
Do you know how much that was?
Over 20 million.
So can you, not right now, but can you break down for us those 3 big components that caused the big increase in the 24-25, which makes it look bigger than it really normally would be?
Absolutely, Supervisor Couch, through the chair. And we work with our sales tax consultant on that to ensure that any one-time additions in our sales tax revenue isn't used in our forecast for our fiscal year, so we don't overestimate any of those one-time revenues. So we can provide that to you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Supervisor. What did you mean went to other agency? Can you explain that?
In other words, I think what you're, and correct me, what I understand that to mean is there was sales tax that was generated in Kern County, but it was sent to, say, Tulare County, and they, or some other county that received it, or a city.
Supervisor Couch, to the chair, you are correct. So the sales tax are collected by the retails, by the agency. They're remitted to the state, and then the state does an allocation based on where revenue is collected, and there's what they call the pool. So online sales, that we also get an allocation of that. There was a misallocation, and unfortunately, it was misallocated to our local entities. So our cities, our city of Bakersfield had a big, they had our money, and we do audits on the sales tax, and they were lucky I didn't charge them interest, so we got our money back. So that's why you see that big line on fiscal year 24-25. And so now that it has been audited, it's been corrected moving forward. However, there's a lot of one-time. When there's a project, a big construction project in the county, one of the strategies that we have used to ensure that we retain the sales tax within the county is that they register, those vendors register. So as they buy equipment for those projects, we benefit from the sales tax. So that's one of the strategies to retain sales tax.
That kind of begs a question. We have one-time revenues, and if you're treating it as one-time revenues, how do you allocate it in reserves, or how do you treat that so people understand that?
So we do an estimate of what we call our ongoing sales tax, which we use to support operations in the budget. As we review the actual collections, if we start seeing one time, if you recall your board, we do a mid-year report. And at that time, we bring that additional estimates that we anticipate, things that we already collected for the first 6 months, and based on what projects are happening, what we think we're gonna collect. Your board, we have done allocations to department mid-year. This fiscal year that we just ended, that's how we funded a portion of the new psych facility at Lerdo and some other costs, and the rest can go to the reserves, which then your board has the discretion allocating in the next fiscal year.
But essentially, we're treating one-time revenues
For one-time
expenses.
expenses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you so much for the clarification. Please continue.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Sheriff Coroner's recommended budget totals $345 million, supported by $144 million in revenue and a net general fund cost of $201 million. Key priorities of this budget include the continued recruitment and retention of key safety personnel, 22 more than the previous adopted budget, including the inmate medical and behavioral health unit. Measure K funding for the expansion of community policing, the transition of deputies from custodial to patrol assignments, and the improvement of response times and visibility. The implementation of the Park Ranger program and critical vehicle replacements utilizing one-time sources, thereby avoiding financing costs. The state budget provides no funding for law enforcement agencies' implementation of Proposition 36. Although the proposition is anticipated to reduce the number of county jail commitments, it is estimated to increase the length of sentences and therefore increase the net total jail population. The recommended budget includes adjustments for increased insurance costs, negotiated salary adjustments, state grants for restricted uses, and a addition of $60,750 from the RenewBiz Reserve for automated license plate readers within the EOA's boundaries. This will support economic investment through the prioritization of public protection. I'll be turning the presentation back over to Mr. Alex Alva.
Thank you, Joseph. I'd like to now shift over to the countywide capital projects, major maintenance and capital projects overseen by the General Services Department. The fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget includes a total of 171 countywide projects, representing a combined investment of $144 million. Of this amount, approximately 72% is allocated to projects managed by General Services, while the remaining supports projects administered by Public Works and airports. For the purposes of today's presentation, I'll be highlighting and discussing projects specifically maintained by General Services. Each year, the General Services Division conducts a comprehensive review of major maintenance projects requests submitted by your county departments. These requests are evaluated, prioritized based on a range of criteria developed to recommend projects for funding. The evaluation process considers legal mandates, health and safety concerns, preventative maintenance needs, potential cost savings, community feedback, and availability of offsetting revenue or special funding sources. This structured approach ensures that limited resources are allocated to projects with the greatest impact and urgency. Capital projects include funding for new facility construction, such as fire stations and sheriff substations, and major building renovations or expansions for departments like probation. These investments are essential to maintaining safe, functional, and accessible environments. Major projects included in the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget include the design and replacement of the Animal Services Facility, continuation of the TAB substation project, revitalization efforts in Lamont and Potomac Park. In addition, a proposed allocation of $2.2 million is recommended to support a series of park improvement projects, which include upgrades to sports court surfaces, renovations to existing restroom facilities, and installation of new playground equipment designed to serve a broader range of ages and abilities. To further support localized needs, an additional $1.5 million is recommended to fund discretionary maintenance projects across each of the supervisorial districts. I'd like to now go over certain departments that are outside of the general fund. The Kern County Fire Department's recommended budget for fiscal year 25-26 is structurally balanced, ensuring full funding for safety personnel and uninterrupted operation of county fire stations. The department remains steadfast in its mission to enhance emergency medical response capabilities, particularly within the county's unincorporated areas, through the deployment of safety squads and medical units equipped to deliver advanced life support services. These enhancements are made possible through the continued support for Measure K funding. A significant adjustment in the fiscal year 25-26 budget is the increased funding provided through CAL FIRE Cooperative Agreement, a vital partnership supporting statewide fire protection and emergency response efforts. This increase is driven by CAL FIRE's transition to a 66-hour work week, along with the revised scheduling protocols and updated salary structures for state personnel. These changes are designed to improve staffing efficiency, bolster coverage during peak wildfire seasons. As a result, the County Fire Department is projected to receive $7.7 million in additional funding, enabling a phased expansion of its workforce, including the addition of 40 wildland firefighter positions. The fiscal year 25-26 budget also includes funding for 9 new positions to support the operations at the fire station serving the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, which is scheduled for completion during this fiscal year. These positions will ensure adequate staffing and readiness to serve the growing needs of the surrounding area. Additional staffing investments outlined in the fire department's recommended budget will strengthen hazard mitigation efforts, improve wildfire containment strategies, and expand aerial firefighting capabilities, ensuring rapid deployment of critical equipment during large-scale fire incidents. Finally, although the Hart Flat Fire Station is not reflected in the fire department's operating budget, as construction remains on schedule through continued Measure K funding. The project is expected to break ground in 2026, relocating Station 11 closer to the community. The site is strategically positioned in a high-risk wildland fire area where improved response times are essential to minimizing the damage and protecting public safety. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Kayla Ayala, your Senior Fiscal and Policy Analyst for Public Ways and Facilities, to present the fiscal year recommended budget for Public Works, Roads, and Code Compliance.
Good morning, welcome.
Chair, members of the board. Currently, the county is using one-time money such as ARPA to work with external vendors to perform graffiti abatement services in targeted areas. At the last budget meeting, your board expressed interest in making a more permanent solution to some of these programs. As you saw in the video earlier, $1.5 million in ongoing new general fund allocation is included in this version of the budget to go to Public Works to fund the addition of 6 new permanent positions, as well as services and supplies for the expansion of an in-house county graffiti abatement program. Next slide. The roads budget includes $169.9 million in appropriations for transportation-related expenses, including $26 million for SB1, Road Repair and Accountability Act projects, and $28.7 million for the continuing ARPA projects. The department anticipates completion of all ARPA-funded projects before the federal deadline of December 2026. In general, our transportation project work consists of the planning, designing, construction, engineering, and maintenance of public roads, bridges, streets, and traffic control devices. Last up, we have code compliance. Also at the last budget discussion meeting, your board expressed interest in the continuation of elevated blight remediation efforts. To that end, this budget includes a one-time allocation of an additional $1.6 million in general fund resources for a total budgeted general fund allocation of $3.4 million. In prior years, we have requested that your board release designations mid-year. This year, we're releasing them at the beginning of the year to give the department operational flexibility and more time to plan accordingly. That concludes my comments. I will now pass it over to Senior Analyst Amanda Ruiz, who oversees our behavioral health group.
It's the A-team today. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Behavioral Health Fiscal Year 25-26 budget reflects a comprehensive investment on behavioral health infrastructure, workforce, and service delivery, while implementing recent legislative mandates and expanding access to care. This budget includes $15.5 million to build out supportive services and residential care for Senate Bill 43 implementation, which goes into effect on January 1st, 2026. This expands the definition of gravely disabled to include substance use. Some of the supportive services include an expansion of capacity at skilled nursing facilities, additional residential services for individuals under conservatorship, additional capacity at sober living environments, and general improvement to care coordination. This budget also includes funding to partner with the City of Bakersfield on a motel conversion for a psychiatric health facility, which supports SB 43. $66 million is allocated for the Behavioral Health Services Act, or BHSA, which is formerly known as the Mental Health Services Act. This budget supports the strategic planning for that transition mandated by Proposition 1. This takes effect on July 1st, 2026. This transition will modernize behavioral health services across the state and redirects 30% of current funding to housing supports and rental subsidies for individuals with significant behavioral health needs. The recommended budget also includes staffing for 1,037 authorized positions and includes funding for the most recent SB 525 healthcare minimum wage increase that went into effect on January 1st, 2025. The next scheduled increase will raise the minimum wage to $23 an hour for healthcare workers beginning on June 1st, 2026. $6.6 million is set in contingencies for potential infrastructure upgrades that may be needed at behavioral health facilities, and funds for evidence-based practices needed for the BHSA implementation. There is also $11 million in funding from opioid settlement funds, which expand medical detox programs, expand medication-assisted treatment, and residential services. Many of these services not only address the impacts of opioid misuse, but also facilitates the department's implementation of SB 43. This budget reflects an approach aimed at strengthening behavioral health care while implementing and preparing for transformative changes under Proposition 1 and Senate Bill 43. This concludes my remarks, and I will now turn it over to our Deputy Budget Director, Mr. Eric Nisbet.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the Department of Human Services, they have two main budget units. First, the recommended budget for Department of Human Services Administration, Budget Unit 5120, provides appropriations of $307.7 million with matching revenue of the same amount. This represents a $30 million increase over the prior year, or about 11%. Almost 70% of this budget is for salaries and benefits costs, which includes $14.7 million in recent employee compensation increases. Costs for child protective services make up about a third of this budget at $114 million. The department is primarily funded by non-discretionary sources, making up approximately 92% of total funding. This includes $246 million in state and federal revenue, as well as $35.8 million in 1991 and 2011 realignment revenue. The second budget unit for Department of Human Services is the Department of Human Services Direct Financial Aid, which includes the actual assistance payments for various safety net programs. The recommended budget provides $394 million with matching revenue, including county contributions. This is an increase of $13.3 million over the prior year, or about 3%. This budget is also funded primarily by non-discretionary sources, including $207 million in state and federal revenue and $174 million in 1991 and 2011 realignment revenue, which makes up about 97% of the total funding. And I will turn it to Assistant CAO Elsa Martinez to continue the presentation.
Madam Chair, a lot of information. That's why we had a video first.
It is a lot.
It is a lot of information. It takes a lot of effort to put a budget together, working with the departments, going through each individual program. So I always tell people we just make it look easy, but it's a lot of work on the staff and in our office. But what the presentation I want to give to your board is fund balance. At the last board meeting, I committed to presenting the county's fund balance after our labor group presented some information based on the county's financial report, ACFR for short. So first, this is gonna continue being boring. I apologize in advance. So let me begin with some definitions first. Unlike the ACFR, which reports what happened financially over the past year, a budget is a plan for the upcoming fiscal year. The ACFR looks backwards and includes assets, liabilities, revenue, expenses, and limited budgetary information. The ACFR is presented in modified accrual or full accrual basis of accounting, and this is important because the ACFR doesn't take into account when the cash is going to be available to pay the expenses. The budget is prepared on cash basis and modified accrual and presents a forward-looking plan. And while both documents are legally required, the budget is a policy document. The ACFR and budget reports are presented for different audiences. AXFR is usually used by financial analysts, bond rating agencies, and to a limited extent, the public, while a budget is prepared with the residents in mind for planning purposes and a policy document. So you heard the labor group refer to restricted funds. You heard that term several times. So let me give you the definitions that they're using. In the ACFR, the fund balance, which is really the difference between what we own, the assets, and what we owe, the liabilities, is essentially the net worth of a fund at a specific point in time. But in the ACFR, the fund balance is classified into 5 categories listed there: non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. So non-spendable, as it states, is fund balance that is not in cash form, like your inventory. You cannot pay salaries with inventory. You cannot pay salaries with prepaid expenses because the cash is out. You heard the term restricted. Well, restricted can only be used for specific purposes due to external laws or regulations. Your board has no authority to use those funds any other manner than what we were given the funds for. The committed funds, those are set aside money that you as a board, as the highest decision-making body, makes. Is usually by ordinance or resolution. The next category, which you hear a lot about the budget, is assigned. We call it in budget terminology, reserve and designation. The assigned category is intended for specific purposes, but it has a less formal approval process. We usually make changes on the assigned balance through the budget process, through changes in reserves and designations. And then finally, the unassigned. So and I'll show you some numbers. Unassigned fund balance, even though there's a number there, is really the only fund that can have that category is the general fund. Other behavioral health, which is outside the general fund, they don't get to have unassigned, only the general fund. And I'll explain for your board why. And as I said, in the budget document, we only use 2 categories: reserves and designations, which is the assigned fund balance, and unassigned, which what we call carry forward. I come to your board every July with the carry forward estimate, so we allocate it to the next year budget. So why do we use different terminology? It is confusing. We're trying to simplify. It's an attempt to simplify terminology. So furthermore, when we're looking at fund balance in the ACFR, you also need to look at the rest of the document. This is a very thick document, okay? You cannot just look at one table and make assumptions. For example, the ACFR balances can include one-time events, such as grants, that are not expected to be repeated the next fiscal year. The entire amounts, as I explained, are not available for spending, and if they're not tracked properly, it could lead to overspending. And let's talk about timing. So here's the timeline. We begin the recommended budget in January of the prior fiscal year. The ACFR, even though the balances on the green circle, the ACFR, even though the balances are as of June 30, 2024, that document is not finalized until January 2025. That is 6 months into the budget year already. So those numbers cannot be used for budget because we already spent 6-7 months out of those numbers. So that's one of the difficulties that comes in explaining what the numbers in this document to compare what the budget documents. Again, a budget is looking forward, ACFR is looking backwards. They're not the same. So if I'm gonna start just high level, this is what you look in the ACFR for the general fund. If we were just to look at the bottom line, you would think that we have $598 million available just to spend for whatever. That's not the case. As I mentioned, there's different categories. So if we look at the non-spendable, we go further into the numbers. The $9 million of the non-spendable, $8 million is inventory. You cannot pay salaries with inventory. Advances, sometimes we provide advances to other agencies. That money is not coming back to us to use for expenses within the budget cycle, so we don't budget that money. Now let's talk about restricted. As I mentioned, restricted can only be used for specific purposes due to external requirements. In the general fund, we have 2 restricted categories, $10 million of our teeter fund. And I can give you an entire presentation of a teeter fund, but all it is another strategy that we use where we, the county, buy the receivable, the tax receivable of other taxing agencies like the cities. Like at the end of the fiscal year, we pay them their property taxes, and when people are delinquent and pay us back with interest, we receive the interest. Again, another strategy to recognize more revenue. But as having a teeter plan require us to have a 1% set aside is one of the requirements of the state to have a teeter plan. GASB 84, GASB is Governmental Accounting Standard Board. Sometimes accounting changes happen. One of the changes require us to put in our financial statement, well, money that we control, but it doesn't belong to us. So we hold money for other agencies. 16 million of that can't touch. It doesn't belong to us, even though we control the funds. Again, I mentioned the committed category. Your board made a commitment to participate in the teeter plan, so we have to have the revenue to buy those resources or those tax receivables from other agencies. So the $45 million are set aside for that purpose. We can't touch it because we have to use it every year to buy those receivables. So the money is there at one point in time. We buy the receivables, the cash goes out the door, and then we collect the revenue slowly. Now let's talk about the areas where your board has control, the assigned fund balance. So I broke that down into two categories. Assigned fund balance, the first level are things that we set aside for very specific purposes. Tax litigation, we get assessment appeals all the time. We have to issue refunds. We need to have money set aside to those refunds. We estimate about 10% of our current assessment appeals. We put that money aside. Those things happen all the time. Encumbrances, when I came to government, somebody asked me, did you do an encumbrances? I had no clue what they were talking about. That is a terminology in government. When you enter into a contract, because you made a commitment, you have to set aside the funds for that commitment. That's what that line is. At year end, we have 69 million of commitments and contracts already. You can't spend the money twice. Have to set it aside. Working capital, we have loans to other funds. Sometimes the Department of Human Services doesn't get their money from the state timely. We have to give them a loan. That cash is out, so we have to set that aside. Your board has a policy when it comes to loans to other county departments. We follow that policy. We set up 26 million. If you notice in your budget, we're releasing the 9 million of Kern Medical. When we did the transfer of the hospital authority, the county committed to paying the liabilities related to cost reports prior to the transfer. Well, the liabilities are coming due this year. We already got the notice from the state, so we're going to release that $9 million to make that payment, so that money is not available. Sheriff aircraft, every year the sheriff takes money from their budget and set it aside because helicopters are expensive and things happen. So this is actually their money that they took from their budget to set aside. So when things happen, they have that resource available. That corner facility, if you look at that balance, is as of June 30, 2024, that 3.2 million is gone already. That was set aside last year on 2024 to finish the property room and to finish some of the corner facility. That's gone. Fire Station 64. When Fire Station 64 was sold, we were told that that money needed to be set aside for the construction of the new fire station. It hasn't happened. We still have that money. 962 is a leftover of jail operations when we were opening the jail. We will be using those funds for the new psych facility. And then we have a mitigation agreement that the roads improvement, that's Public Works. That's Public Works money. There's a mitigation agreement. We get some revenue. We set it aside to repair that road. Even though we have 123 million in fund balance, we don't consider that money that could be used for operations. What your board has is 174 million. Your board set aside this money for the specific purposes as listed here. One of the big ones is a retirement. Every 3 years, if the retirement board changes the assumptions, we get hit. The last time they changed the assumptions, it cost the county an immediate $22 million of ongoing costs moving forward. So as those things happen, we use that designation to offset the cost to departments so they don't have to do layoffs, they don't have to do reductions. But your board has full discretion. If your board wishes to change the categories, we wouldn't recommend it because we have to build a new animal control facility. you have to do some projects, you have your economic opportunity areas, but if your board wishes to make changes, this is one category that your board has that option. Okay, finally, unassigned. Big number, and this is where timing matters. On the unassigned, we have our $53.5 million in reserve. This is where our fiscal stability. If something goes really wrong, if we have an emergency, this is the money we have to take care of that. The rest, we actually re-budget. So I come every July to your board with the carry forward. This is the carry forward. So I came to your board on July of 2024 to use the $163 million that we already spent in the fiscal year 24-25. Even though you're looking in the ACFR at a big number, it's gone, okay? Are we always going to have balances in reserve? Yes, we are. I mean, that is, every prudent government would have reserves. Another area that keeps mentioning is restricted funds and realignment. So I want to clarify what is realignment. So realignment is a portion of the state sales tax. As you saw, the Department of Human Services, Behavioral Health, have state revenue, and realignment, that's what it comes from. Realignment revenue is collected by the state, deposited in a dedicated account, and these funds are allocated to counties based on formulas. They consider factors such as population, historical costs, and service needs. The funding supports a wide range of programs, including jail operations, probation, mental health and substance use treatment, and protective services. Your board has no discretion on how those funds are used. And while Prop 30 passed in 2012 further guaranteed this funding for counties, there is no guarantee that the sales taxes will meet the estimates. So we have to have reserves to prevent fluctuations in department. If the sales taxes are not collected, then we use our reserves to backfill departments. So your board has very limited authority to allocate those funds. Those are restricted funds, in fact, and your board has very limited discretion. In the ACFR, you only see that $193 million balance. Once you break it out, $85 million is public safety, $66 million is behavioral health. You heard that they're going to be implementing Prop 1. You heard that Prop 36 comes with no funding. These are the funds that we'll be using coming forward if needed to support those programs. So why do we have reserves? Well, to prepare for the future. Building and maintaining adequate reserves maintains a cornerstone of our fiscal strategy, ensuring the county's long-term fiscal stability and resilience. And this budget includes adding $38.9 million in general fund reserves, primarily for general liability and measured case stability programs. And this reserve not only safeguards our core services during times of uncertainty, but also strengthen our creditworthiness. We just got a review by one of our rating agencies, and we were successful. They always look at our reserves to ensure that we can borrow at the lowest cost, especially for capital as we move forward with the discussion about financing a portion of the animal control facility. It's important to get the best rate for our residents. And also, we want to be responsible for the future needs, considering what the changes are coming to us from the federal and state policy changes. So this concludes our prepared remarks. It will be appropriate for your board at this time if you have any questions. If not, open the budget hearings, receive public comment at this time.
Well, now that that's all cleared up, no questions at all. Clear, right, Shin? Clear as mud. Thank you. I really appreciate your hard work and the A-team that you presented today. Some presented pretty briefly, but the amount of work that's gone into that and the expertise associated with that are prepared and teed up today to answer questions about them, we know is profound and deep, and we really appreciate you sincerely. While I'm not the expert, I know who is. So thank you very much. This is the portion of the meeting for the public to come forward and provide input on this budget, questions, your opinions about how you feel about your tax dollars. This is the time for you to give some input to the board. and you're not limited in time. So please come forward and state your name for the record. If you spell it, we'd really appreciate it. Make sure we have it accurate in the record. But please come forward and give us your input.
Charles Shin, and hello, Board and Madam Chair. Elsa, great job. I don't think anybody's fighting to replace you anytime soon. I have a question, Madam Chair, on license plate readers. I don't quite understand if that's a law enforcement advantage to have license plate readers throughout the city. You know, if it prevents crime, I don't think that the readers would prevent crime, but they might actually help solve the puzzle to a crime. But I'm a little hesitant to see us spend so much money and maybe increase license plate readers, only because I see a lot of folks driving cars when I'm out and about on the streets, and I see an awful lot of cars with 2- and 3-year-old stickers on their license plates. And so I know it's not actually stopping people to ensure that they have the current car license. I'm fearful of the 15-minute city potential in the future with big government. And the bigger our government gets, the bigger the ideas go. And, you know, license plate readers, I think, are used in England to keep people in their little 15-minute cities. So can anybody enlighten me on the license plate readers that we're using?
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. I'm sorry, I just saw, Jeff, that you, Peters, and Parley are punched in. Is that for, you want to wait until after we get public comment? Or did you want to weigh in now?
Mine specifically regarding.
Okay, Supervisor Parley, let's start with you.
Charles, this was actually my item. It's specifically for East Kern, 15 cameras for that location. It was brought to me by the Sheriff's Department. This is really a force multiplier for agencies out there. It's shared information with CHP or a local agency, let's say Tehachapi Police Department. Tehachapi Police Department utilizes them within their city, and it's really a good thing to stop and to solve crimes. Rural crimes, you look at the ingress, egress areas of East Kern with the 1458. If somebody comes in from Los Angeles, kidnaps a child in Kern County, we have some basic information, or there's a GTA, a car theft, or a host of other type crimes. This, again, is a force multiplier to put extra deputies, extra law enforcement on the streets without actually having the cost of an extra body. And if you want any other explanation, I can maybe have somebody from the Sheriff's Department come down and talk about it too.
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Supervisor Parley.
Thank you, Charles, for bringing that.
Thank you for the real-time explanation and context for that expenditure. That caught my eye too, that one, Mr. Shin. Thank you, Supervisor Parley. Are any other public input? Morning again. Welcome.
Dennis McLean.
Dennis.
It's a lot of work there, Elsa. I don't know how you, compose that. That's mind-boggling for a senior.
For me too, brother.
Well, you're I understand. But I have some items of concern here, the roads in the county.
Okay, thank you.
I've approached the city council about the roads in the city, and they just turned the page. Terrible. You go out of state, you go to Montana, where they've got snow, -degree, and the roads are perfect. So we need to do something about that. And also I have a question on that. If you have a road and you have a county island on one side and the city limits on the other, who's responsible for the road? Can anybody answer that? Is it mutual, or is it just close the door?
Hey, Supervisor Couch.
I'll do my best.
Please do.
It depends. Seriously, because
it depends on this?
In the past, no, it depends on where they actually draw the line during the annexation. Sometimes it's right down the middle of the street.
Right.
That's not preferable, because then you have one agency responsible for one side and one responsible for the other. It has been the policy for several years now, at least 10, that when there is an annexation, that the city takes both sides of the street, if that's the line. But that doesn't mean that there aren't situations still in existence from previous years where you've got a line and it could be either the city or the county that has the entire road responsibility, or it could be split right down the middle. We're trying to clean that up going forward, but it's not perfect.
Yeah, well, it's pretty frustrating when you used to live in a rural area, county, and then the city builds right on the other side of the street, which was farmland, and you get all this traffic and all this maintenance that needs to be done. And if you call the city, of course, it's all automated. And my wife has been calling for years, and very seldom does she get anything done. So.
If one side of the street has potholes, it's the city. If one side's in good shape, it's the county.
I will go with that. I approve of the money being expanded on the graffiti. That helps beautify our town, and it's. I don't know if it's getting any worse, but I don't see it getting any better. But so what you're doing to address that problem, I support.
Thank you, Dennis.
Still concerned about the homeless. Where do they go? It's just, it's an eyesore, for me. I was born and raised in this town, and of course, that there were people that didn't have a place to go, but it was just not as prevalent as it is nowadays. It's a complete eyesore, and I do my best to protect my property and stuff. So I hope everybody else does too. So. Thanks again, Elsa, for your hard work, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Well, Dennis, we got to make sure we have a great contact for you on the roads issues. We are the third largest county in California, bigger than some states, which is, I hate to make excuses, is 8,200 square miles, lots of rural parts of Kern. It's a challenge and a tall order, but we want to be responsive to you, and often those matters are addressed on a case-by-case basis. They come in, and we're not as quick as we should be often. But we certainly want to be responsive to you. I promise you that. And we want to make sure we will work to get you a great contact and do the best job we possibly can in responding, quickly to your issues. So at 8,200 square miles, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, brother. I assure you that. Thank you for your comments and your input. Any other public comment thus far? Okay. I understand we have some questions from board members. We're going to start with Supervisor Flores.
Thank you, staff, and I appreciate that. Video presentation was very neat to have that in that format. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, staff. A couple questions on human services budget. This has been front and center these last couple weeks. I don't know, Elsa, or if Eric wants to come and answer this. I appreciate the treatment of the $30 million increase over the last fiscal year for comprehensive DHS. And then you also comment on the raises, $14.7 million, which both address some of the concerns of the grand jury report. Tucked into that number is the CPS of $114 million. So my question is, in emergency response, is the $20 million in addition to the CPS budget of $114 million, or is that part of the 114?
Supervisor Flores to the chair, it is included in the 114.
Okay, 114. And is it safe to assume, since there was a $30 million increase over last year, that CPS also got an increase as well?
So the way the Department of Human Services funded is by program. It is, if there's a guarantee employment for accountants, that is one funding source. The state has made it complicated, because even though we prepare the budget with an increase, the actual is based on what the employees are doing on a time study. So we do the budget based on the last actual report to the state, which does include an increase. I cannot tell you that it's exactly that percentage, but there is an increase because their employees receive a compensation increase as well. Social workers, as you recall, your board has been proactive in raising the salaries over 20%. So there is an increase in cost for them. Again, once they do their time study, the actual changes, it is, as I mentioned, complicated. Sure. Employees do time studies, 2 pay periods. Based on that, that's how we draw the funding, that's how the cost is supported. And when we prepare the budget based on the last claim we submitted to the state, which does include an increase.
Thank you. So I think that's very helpful to lay out the context and the complexity of the funding streams for CPS and DHS. But our commitment remains the same. And then, so I know we're going to go forward with an external review shortly, and then we'll see what that analysis brings, and we'll see if we need to go to a mid-budget review, augmentation, what have you. We just want to assure the public that this budget is sound and that it does reflect an increase. And then secondly, the 522 authorized positions, I don't know, are all 522 fully staffed, or is that just mostly staffed?
Those are authorized positions. They have, if you recall, we did last board meeting the vacancy rate. There's about an 11% vacancy because we have training positions. We over allocate to the Department of Human Services, so they have the positions to always have the training groups moving along. So we're working with them to make sure that they fill their positions.
Excellent. Thank you. And then pivoting to graffiti, I welcome the 1.5 million, and I welcome the 6 staff members. I think that's fantastic direction. I just had a question in terms of what that looks like, because I understand that we have a metro approach and then a peripheral county approach. Are we now going to do one approach to do both? What does this look like moving forward? Are we going to maintain the metro city contract and then an outside county contract, or are we going to fuse the two?
Supervisor Flores, to the chair, as you're aware, the Metro program has been funded with ARPA funds, which are ending. So part of the budget does include continuing, at least for a portion of the fiscal year, the Metro program. What we're going to do is transition, work with the Public Works Department to develop where are the target areas if the Metro phases out this following fiscal year. They have been doing, I believe, a lot of parks, a lot of East Bakersfield, unincorporated areas. If you drive Mount Vernon going north of Niles, looks completely different now. We hope to keep those areas that we've been improving. They said if you cover the graffiti, they'll come back. If you cover a second, third time, they give up. So we're hoping that they do, and we're hoping to continue those. We'll be working with Public Works to refine what target areas we're going to use. And as a reminder, this is general funds for specific areas. I talked to the director, and they still have the road funds that they can use for roads areas. So it's not just 1.5, they're also investing some money from the road fund to enhance it. So the short answer is we'll be back with more information.
Good to know. Well, I like the direction. I appreciate where we're going, and good to know that we have a secondary system in place within Public Works vis-a-vis roads. So thank you, and I think this budget is sound, and despite Sacramento and Washington, we have saved. We're going to protect vital services. This budget does that. It's sound, and we're going to be ready for whatever comes our way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Flores. Any other questions from the board? Start over to Supervisor Peters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I just wanted to thank Ms. Martinez and your whole team for your hard work on this. This is complicated stuff. It's way over my head. I just blank out looking at the spreadsheets. I don't know how you guys do this, but my hat's off to you. I did want to ask a couple questions. Firstly, just so we have a better understanding, could you talk a little bit more about reserves? Is that just a static number ongoing, or is that a percentage of our budget that we set aside and reevaluate yearly, or how does that work?
So, as I mentioned, as part of the budget, your board has the option of changing reserves. Normally, if you go to the assigned, when it comes to the general fund, we bring recommendations. These are the ones that normally are restricted. But we bring recommendations to your board every budget to change them. So if something happens mid-year, if you remember in board items, we call it release of reserves. So it is a moving number. Regarding a target, what we call our general reserve, there's guidelines out there by the Government Finance Officers Association that says in your general fund, you should have at least 10% of your operating budget as a reserve. We're not there. I mean, our budget of the general fund is $1 billion. We have 50 million. So we're not there, but I think we feel comfortable with the other reserves that we have a balanced approach. You don't want to have too much because then you're not providing services, but also you don't need to have something in case something goes wrong, so you don't have to come back to your board and say we have to cut budgets and we have to do, on reductions in staffing or we have to cut programs. So there's a fine line that we have to walk, and we bring those to your board either through the budget process or to board items that come to your board for approval.
Got it, thank you. And my next question, and I have deep respect for everything that you guys are doing. I have no issues at all with the budget, but a few months ago, I made a referral. There had been some conversation in chambers about, looking at different opportunities for, finding efficiencies or getting some new ideas, maybe looking at having a third party come and just provide a new, fresh set of eyes on our budget. Has there been any progress on that or any discussions around that? I don't think we've heard back as a board yet.
You have not, you're correct, Supervisor Peters, to the chair. We had an initial meeting, but it was the same committee meeting where we were talking about the elections equipment. So our plan was to coordinate with the auditor controller through their risk assessment. The auditor controller, as your agent for audits, your board has full responsibility for audits, but the auditor controller performs that for your board. They complete a risk assessment. They're in that process right now. To evaluate each department based on that risk assessment. What I have committed to your board is to the two members of the committee that our next committee meeting, September 15, we'll address that. I'll bring back a proposal, a scope of work, what it will look like to bring a consultant. And then target a specific areas based on the risk assessment that the auditor controller is conducting. So we'll be back to the committee in September 15. I apologize to the concerned citizens. I know they want to talk elections, but I know they're also interested in efficiency. So we're going to make that discussion, get direction from the two committee members, and then we'll be back at the end of September at the latest with a full discussion for the board.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then lastly, along the lines of referrals, we had also, I believe, made a referral, I can't remember when it was, a few months ago, but about looking at some type of program for constituent services and streamlining that process and making sure that we're tracking and finding ways to better engage with the public. Have we made allowances or room for a program like that in this budget?
Supervisor Peters, through the chair, yeah, that is in progress, and Jason Wiebe of my office has been working with the chiefs of staff in order to find the appropriate product, and we should have that anytime, and it is in the budget.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you for the extra work, Supervisor Peters. Well done. Supervisor Couch.
Thank you for your hard work. I have absolutely nothing to add to this discussion right now, so I'm going to make a motion. We adopt the budget as presented.
I think we have no motion, right? No action needed? Is that right?
Supervisor Couch, if I may, I will read the recommended actions for your board, if that's okay.
It's okay with me. I'm making a motion to adopt it as recommended, so.
Okay, I think we have some closing, some other remarks here. If we could, before we get to that, Elsa, just want to ask my colleagues. I know Supervisor Flores had some remarks he wanted to make.
I'll wait till after we do this.
Till after the motion? Got it. So please, never mind then. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you, board. Thank you for your leadership. One of the best things to work for the county is that you trust our staff and you provide the right amount of leadership and guidance that we need to prepare this document. Again, county departments, thank you for their leadership and their staff. A lot of work from them on their side, and of course, a lot of work from our staff in the CAO's office. To close the budget, what your board will need to do is, of course, close the budget hearing and then adopt the resolution approving the county budget for 25-26. Your board would also need to adopt the resolutions approving the fiscal year 25-26 for employer training resources and community development grant programs. And finally, your board would have to adopt the resolution amending the salary ordinance as found in Appendix B, summary of positions, additions, and deletions. And then you would refer to Human Resources to amend the departmental positions and salary schedule. These recommendations may be approved by your board in one action by motion to move and staff's recommendation.
Oh, got it, okay. Okay, we have that recommendation. Closing remarks from the board, and Supervisor Flores, your thoughts?
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm going to wait till we
Okay,
separate topic.
I keep confusing my board, please forgive me.
So moved.
Okay.
No, Madam Chair?
Now I read the,
Yeah, we still need to go through the consent agenda. We need to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as other agencies, so.
understood.
Okay.
Thank you. I have to read this. Kathy Kraus made me and is making me. Okay, I apologize for the lengthiness of this. All items listed with the CA or C above the item number are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff because they are funded 100% federal, state, and/or other sources. Or the department head has indicated that they concur with the county administrative office recommended budget as printed and have no comment. That alone is a major success. The CA represents the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. These consent items will be considered last and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the audience wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item or items on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken on the consent agenda. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in its listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. A member of the public may also comment on any closed session item. The C represents the consent agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority, Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District, and In-Home Supportive Services, IHSS, Public Authority. These consent items will be considered first. Consent matters begin on page 3, and they include all the items listed.
We're going to first adjourn as the Board of Reconvenes consent agenda.
We are not going to do that. We're going to do what Kathy says. Okay, so we are first going to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as the Kern Sanitation Authority.
So moved. Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Please cast your vote. And we have to adjourn as Kern Sanitation Authority and reconvene as Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District.
Not yet. You need to vote. You need to vote.
Okay, understood. Let's take a vote on the motion as submitted.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Now we're going to adjourn as Kern Sanitation Authority, reconvene as Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District. And under that agenda, we have item 5. We just did Kern Sanitation Authority, I thought.
Actually, what we did was we adjourned as the Board of Supervisors and we reconvened as Kern Sanitation Authority. Your board is currently sitting as Kern Sanitation Authority and needs to vote on item C4.
Okay, item C4.
Motion on item 4.
We have a motion on item 4
Second.
and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, so now we will adjourn as Kern Sanitation Authority, reconvene as Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District. Is that correct, Kathy? And under that agenda, we will consider now item number 5.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Did we get a second? Yes. Thank you. Please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Hopefully, nobody makes a motion to toss me as chair after today. Okay, we're going to adjourn as Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District, reconvene as In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority. And under that agenda, we will consider item number 6 at this time.
Motion to approve item 6 and adjourn as the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors.
Second.
Excellent, thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes as to item number 6.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, so now we're back. No wardrobe change. We're back as the Kern County Board of Supervisors. And we're going to consider now our departmental requests. I read to you previously that matters are either completely funded by outside sources or our department heads take no issue with the department budgets as presented and concur with the recommendations by our CAO and marvelous team that you saw present today. The consent matters begin on page 3, and they include all items listed 7 through 22. On page 4, all items listed 23 through 38. On page 5, all items listed 39 through 54. On page 6, all items listed 55 through 70. On page 7, all items listed 71 through 86. On page 8, items 87 through 95 and 98. I got something right. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on the consent matters, which essentially is the budget as presented today? Thank you very much. We will close the public hearing and we will consider those consent matters now. Gentlemen?
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Now, as to item 96, closing actions and budget adoption. Elsa, back to you.
Again, Madam Chair, these are the closing actions. So you just close the budget. You're going to be adopting the resolutions for the fiscal year 25-26 budget for the county as a whole, employer training resources and community development, and you'll be approving the resolution amending the salary ordinance. And again, you can do this by one motion by approving, moving on staff's recommendation.
Okay, and public hearing and public input?
Yes.
Public comment? Okay, any public comment on item number 96? Seeing none, I'll return to Supervisor Flores.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
We have a motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
And we have a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, Supervisor Flores, you have remarks.
Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence and patience in guiding us through those complicated items, but we're done now. So my apologies for waiting. I got this text after my public comments. I'd like to read it for the record, please. Kathy, you brought a sense of grace and professional decorum to every facet of your service to the Board of Supervisors and the public you served. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your integrity, dedication, and unwavering servant's heart. Warmest regards, Mike Maggart, my predecessor.
Goodness, how gracious. Kathy, I don't know how you deal with these 5 politicians, much less others that you have had to endure the complicated dynamics of, but you did it with such grace and such class. And thank you very, very much. I would also like to announce and make for motion and recommendation that we close today in the honor of Vesta Lucille Pollard. You heard today from Miss Lisa Pollard, whose mother lived to 98 and her mother lived to 98. So I suspect we'll be seeing Miss Lisa for some time and joining us here and providing her heart and comments. I would like to close today's session in her honor. I understand Vesta is a fire goddess. I think that's absolutely appropriate from what I have seen and what I have heard. So it is an honor of mine on her fourth anniversary of her passing to be with our Lord, that we honor and recognize her by this county's record and close in her honor. And with that, we are going to adjourn to closed session. We will not be returning to the 2 p.m. session because on our budget hearings, we usually only meet in the morning. We will return for our next standard meeting Tuesday, September 9th at 9 a.m., and I'll make the motion to adjourn today.